2026 has been a year of absolute global domination for BTS, but behind the flashing strobe lights of sold-out stadiums and the cold brilliance of their countless trophies, a much softer, thus more human story has been unfolding. We've seen them as idols, as icons, and as legends, but have we truly seen them as sons, brothers, and fathers? This year, the Bangtan boys decided to tear down the velvet curtain, letting us into the most sacred spaces of their lives, their family circles. From secret letters hidden for decades to unexpected reunions that stopped the internet in its tracks, 2026 has redefined what family means in the K-pop industry. It wasn't just about the music anymore. It was about the blood, the sweat, and the literal tears shed in the quiet corners of their childhood homes. Why did a single phone call from Busan make a world-class performer break down during a soundcheck? What was the hidden promise made between a father and a son that finally came to light during their 13th anniversary celebration? And most importantly, what is the nature of the mysterious secret message from V's father that has the entire fandom and the world holding its collective breath? We are diving deep into the raw, unscripted, and heart-wrenching moments that proved that no matter how high you fly, the roots are what keep you grounded. Are you ready to see the side of BTS that the cameras usually miss? Do you have your tissues ready for a journey through the soul of the world's biggest band? We've curated the definitive list of the most emotional family milestones of the year, filled with details you haven't heard anywhere else. This isn't just a countdown, it's a tribute to the love that built the kings of pop. Let's look at the moments that made 2026 a year of healing, reflection, and overwhelming emotion. Who do you think took the #1 spot for the most tear-jerking revelation of the year? Keep watching, because the truth behind V's father's message will change everything you thought you knew about the Winter Bear singer. Number 7. RM. The Forgotten Letter from Ilsan. The year 2026 started with a literal emotional explosion for the leader of the world's biggest group, Kim Namjoon. We all know RM as the towering intellectual, the philosopher king of K-pop who speaks at the UN and analyzes art with a scholar's eye, but in February 2026, during his solo documentary filming back in his hometown of Ilsan, the world saw a vulnerable side of him that felt like a punch to the gut. While cleaning out an old, dust-covered wooden desk in his childhood bedroom, a room his parents had preserved like a time capsule, Namjoon discovered a crinkled, yellowing envelope wedged behind a drawer. It was a letter written by his father back in 2010, the very year Namjoon left home to become a trainee at Big Hit. The contents were never meant for public eyes, but Namjoon shared a fragment of it, and the background story is absolutely devastating. Back then, Namjoon's father was a stable professional who initially struggled with his son's dream of being an underground rapper. We've heard stories of his mother breaking his mic to keep him studying, but we never knew the silent internal battle his father fought. The letter, dated the night before Namjoon moved into the cramped Seoul dorms, revealed that his father had actually gone to the Big Hit building in secret weeks prior just to check if the neighborhood was safe and if the small company was legitimate. The letter read, "I broke your heart by telling you to be realistic, but my heart broke watching you pack your bags. If the world doesn't listen to your voice, remember that I am always sitting in the front row of your life, even if I'm invisible." As RM read this on camera, the atmosphere shifted instantly. The cool, collected leader began to tremble, his voice cracking as he realized his father had been his secret protector for 16 years without saying a word. This isn't just about a letter, it's about the realization that the man who seemed most opposed to his career was actually the one scouting the perimeter of his dreams. The detail that really destroyed the fans was Namjoon's reflection on how his father used to buy every single magazine BTS appeared in during the early NO era, hiding them under the bed so Namjoon wouldn't feel the pressure of his father's expectations. In 2026, seeing a 31-year-old RM sitting on that small twin bed, clutching a piece of paper and weeping silently, reminded us that even the strongest pillars of Bangtan are still just sons who crave the silent approval of their fathers. How many of us have missed the quiet sacrifices our parents made while we were busy fighting the world? This moment wasn't just a highlight. It was a profound lesson in the silent language of Korean fatherhood, proving that sometimes the loudest support comes from the person who says the least. The sheer weight of that 16-year-old secret being unearthed in 2026 set the tone for a year of intense family healing. Can you imagine the strength it took for RM to keep filming after such a soul-shaking discovery? It makes you wonder, if the leader's story is this heavy, what kind of emotional tidal wave is coming next? Number 6. Jin, the secret chef of Anyang. Just when we thought the eldest member of BTS couldn't get any more wholesome, 2026 brought us a story that peeled back the layers of Kim Seokjin's legendary worldwide handsome persona to reveal a heart of pure gold. In mid-May, during the filming of a special culinary variety show, a production assistant accidentally captured a moment off-camera that soon became a viral sensation of raw, unfiltered emotion. We all know Jin is a master in the kitchen, but the backstory of his passion for cooking has always been tied to his family's love for food. However, the 2026 revelation involved his mother's health scare earlier that year, which Jin had kept entirely private from the media and even some of his closest friends. During a break in filming, Jin was caught on a hot mic talking to his older brother Kim Seokjung about a secret tradition they had revived. It turns out, every Sunday for 3 months, Jin had been driving back to Anyang in the middle of the night after grueling 14-hour rehearsal days for the Beyond World Tour just to cook a specific traditional medicinal soup for his mother. But here's the kicker that left fans in tears. Jin didn't want his mother to know he was the one cooking it. He was terrified that if she knew he was losing sleep and driving hours just for her, she would stop eating out of guilt. He instructed his brother to tell her it was a delivery from a high-end gourmet restaurant. The factual detail that surfaced later was even more touching. Jin had actually consulted with top nutritional scientists to tweak the recipe so it wouldn't interfere with her recovery. On the variety show, when the host asked Jin what his favorite meal was, he didn't name a luxury dish. Instead, he hesitated, his eyes glossing over with an intensity we rarely see behind his jokes, and said, "The meal I make for someone who can't know I made it." The reflection here is deep. Jin, the man who lives in the spotlight and thrives on the cheers of millions, found his greatest fulfillment in the absolute silence of a dark kitchen at 3 a.m., cooking for the woman who first taught him how to hold a spatula. The atmosphere of that revelation felt like a warm embrace but with a sharp sting of reality. It showed us that for Jin, the role of the eldest brother of BTS is secondary to his role as a devoted son. Fans began sharing stories of how Jin's humor had seemed a bit forced during that period, and suddenly, it all clicked. He was carrying the weight of his mother's health on his shoulders while making the world laugh. This moment in 2026 redefined Jin's silly persona as a shield of immense strength. It makes you think, how much of our own parents' well-being do we take for granted while they are silently rooting for us? Jin's secret Anyang kitchen sessions proved that the most worldwide thing about him isn't his face, but his capacity to love without needing a single thank you in return. It was a masterclass in humility and filial piety that left the entire industry speechless. If Jin is out here playing the silent guardian for his family, who else in the group is hiding a massive secret of their own? The mystery only deepens as we move closer to the top of our list. Number 5. Suga. The piano in the Daegu wind. The year 2026 marked a legendary turning point for Min Yoongi, the man we know as the cold, sharp-tongued genius of production. But what happened in the outskirts of Daegu this past autumn left the global music community in a state of absolute shock and heavy-hearted reflection. For years, we've heard Suga rap about the struggles of his youth, the hunger, the accidents, and the distance between him and his parents' expectations, but the Daegu piano incident of 2026 finally bridged a gap that had existed for over 15 years. During a private hiatus period, Yoongi returned to his roots to help his father move some old belongings from a storage unit that hadn't been opened since the early 2010 seconds. Tucked away under a heavy, oil-stained tarp was an old, out-of-tune brown upright piano. The revelation that followed was like a scene out of a heartbreaking film. Yoongi's father confessed that when Yoongi moved to Seoul to pursue music against his wishes, he didn't actually sell or throw away the piano his son used to practice on. Instead, he had secretly paid for a climate-controlled storage unit for over a decade, using a significant portion of his modest savings at the time, just in case Yoongi failed and needed a place to come back to where his passion was still waiting for him. But it goes deeper. His father admitted that he would sometimes visit the unit alone, sit on the bench, and try to remember the melodies his son used to play. The factual detail that absolutely shattered fans was the discovery of a small notebook tucked inside the piano's floorboard. It contained handwritten logs by his father, documenting every time Suga appeared on a local radio station or a small TV segment during the Dark and Wild era, notes that were filled with critiques like, "You sound tired today, son," or "That verse was powerful." Suga, known for his stoic, savage persona, reportedly sat on the floor of that dusty storage unit and wept for nearly an hour, realizing that while he felt he was fighting the world alone, his father was silently archiving his struggle from the shadows of Daegu. This 2026 moment was a visceral reflection on the tough love, typical of traditional Korean fathers, proving that silence isn't always absence sometimes. It's a form of protection. The atmosphere was thick with the scent of old wood, and the realization that the August D fire was fueled by a home he thought didn't understand him, when in reality, they were his biggest, most secret archivists. It makes you wonder, how many of our own parents are holding onto our old pianos, waiting for us to realize they were always on our side? This moment of pure, raw connection between Yoongi and his father showed us that even the most scarred hearts can find healing in the truth. As we look at Suga now, performing with a new sense of peace, we have to ask, if the Ice King of BTS can melt this way, what kind of heat is the next member bringing to our list? Number 4. J-Hope, the Gwangju Dance Studio Sacrifice. In the summer of 2026, a year defined by BTS's massive global rebirth tour, Young Hoseok Our Sunshine, J-Hope revealed a story that completely reframed everything we thought we knew about his Hope persona. While visiting his hometown of Gwangju for a charity event at his former dance academy, Hobi was presented with a surprise gift from his older sister, Jiwoo. It was a ledger, a thick, worn-out accounting book from a small local textile business that their father used to manage. The mystery behind Hobi's transition from a street dancer to a world-class idol has always been touched upon. But the 2026 revelation unearthed a sacrifice so deep it left the entire stadium in Gwangju in stunned silence. As Hobi flipped through the pages on stage, his sister explained that during his trainee years, when the family was struggling financially and Hobi was on the verge of being cut from the debut lineup, his father had secretly taken on a third job as a night shift security guard at a nearby construction site. The ledger showed that every single extra cent earned from those grueling 12-hour nights was funneled into a soul fund, specifically for Hobi's dance lessons and extra nutrition. But the detail that truly broke J-Hope and every fan watching was a small note tucked into the ledger from 2012. It was a medical receipt for his father's chronic back pain, which he had ignored for years to ensure Hobi could stay in Seoul. His father had written in the margin, "Hoseok doesn't need to know his father's back hurts. He only needs to know that the stage is firm beneath his feet." Seeing J-Hope, the man who is literally the backbone of BTS's performance, realized that his own father's physical sacrifice was what built his foundation, was a moment of pure, raw, emotional electricity. Hobi didn't just cry, he collapsed into his sister's arms, the weight of a decade of sunshine finally giving way to the reality of the struggle behind it. This 2026 moment served as a powerful reflection on the masks we wear for our families. Just as Hobi smiles for the fans, his father suffered in silence for him. The atmosphere in Gwangju turned from a celebration into a sanctuary of shared grief and gratitude. It makes you ask, who is the silent pillar in your life making sure your stage is stable while they carry the weight of the world? J-Hope's story in 2026 reminded us that even the brightest light is fueled by a fire burning in the dark. With the hope of the group reaching such an emotional peak, how much more intense can this list get as we move toward the final 3? Number 3. Jimin, the secret shore of Busan. As we move into the top 3, the emotional stakes reach a fever pitch with a story that redefined Park Jimin's year in 2026. We've always known Jimin is incredibly close to his father, the man who famously owns a cafe in Busan that has become a pilgrimage site for ARMY, but in October 2026, a private vlog released for the group's anniversary revealed a secret that had been kept for over 14 years. During a quiet trip back to the Busan coast, Jimin and his father were filmed walking along the shoreline where Jimin used to practice contemporary dance as a teenager. It was here that his father dropped a bombshell. He revealed that during Jimin's most difficult trainee days, when Jimin was sleeping only 2 hours a night and calling home in tears because he felt he wasn't talented enough to debut, his father would drive to Seoul every single weekend. But here is the part that devastated the fandom. He never told Jimin he was there. Instead of announcing his presence and potentially making Jimin feel more pressured or guilty, his father would sit in a small, 24-hour convenience store across from the old Big Hit building, just watching the lights in the practice room windows. He told Jimin, I just needed to be in the same zip code as your struggle. I knew if I saw you, I'd tell you to come home, and I didn't want to steal your dream from you just to stop my own heart from aching. The factual detail that emerged was a collection of hundreds of bus tickets his father had saved from 2011 to 2013, all marked with the same Friday night departure and Sunday morning return. Jimin, the man known for his perfectionism and his serendipitous grace, was visibly shattered by this revelation. He realized that during his loneliest hours in the practice room, his father was literally just a street away, acting as a silent guardian in the cold Seoul night. The reflection here is staggering. It shows the immense discipline of a parent's love, knowing when to stay away so their child can grow, even when it hurts to watch from the shadows. The atmosphere of the vlog was heavy with the sound of the crashing waves, a stark contrast to the silence of those 2 years of secret vigils. Jimin's reaction was a mix of intense gratitude and the realization that his success was a shared victory with a man who fought his own battle in a convenience store chair. It makes you wonder, how many times have we felt completely alone, while someone who loves us was watching over us from just out of sight? This 2026 moment in Busan wasn't just a family reunion, it was a soul-cleansing acknowledgement of the invisible threads that bind us to our roots. If Jimin's silent guardian story moved us this much, what could possibly top it? We are nearing the pinnacle, and the mysteries of the maknae line are about to take center stage. Number 2. Jungkook, the unfinished song from Mandeok-dong. As we reach the penultimate spot on our list, we find ourselves in the heart of Busan's Mandeok-dong district, where the golden maknae, Jungkook, experienced a moment in late 2026 that sent shockwaves through the entire music industry. We've always seen Jungkook as the ace, the one who could do everything perfectly since the age of 15, but the 2026 revelation showed us the immense emotional cost of being a child prodigy. During a special family documentary titled The Golden Roots, Jungkook's mother shared a secret she had kept since 2011, the year her youngest son left for Seoul. She revealed a hidden collection of cassette tapes, not professional recordings, but raw, unfiltered audio of her and Jungkook's father singing together in their living room when Jungkook was just a toddler. However, the detail that broke the internet was a specific tape from the night Jungkook officially signed his contract with Big Hit. On that tape, his father can be heard weeping quietly into the microphone, recording a message to the future for a son he knew he was essentially giving away to the world. His father's voice, thick with emotion, said, "I am proud that you are a star, but I am terrified that you will forget how to be a boy. If the world gets too loud, come back to this tape and remember the sound of your mother's humming. That is your real home." Jungkook, sitting in his high-tech Seoul studio while watching this footage, was filmed breaking down in a way we've never seen, not the proud tears of an award show, but the jagged, breathless sobs of a man realizing he had missed an entire decade of his parents' aging process. The factual background that emerged was even more poignant. It turns out Jungkook's iconic Still With You was unconsciously inspired by a melody his mother used to hum to him, a melody he thought he had made up, but which was actually a deep-seated memory of safety. This 2026 moment served as a brutal but beautiful reflection on the sacrifice of the maknae, the boy who grew up in front of millions while his own parents watched him through a screen, grieving the loss of his childhood in real time. The atmosphere of the revelation was one of bittersweet triumph. It highlighted that while Jungkook became the world's biggest pop star, his parents remained his most humble anchors, preserving his boyhood in a box of old tapes. It makes you stop and think, in our rush to achieve greatness, what parts of our childhood are our parents desperately trying to save for us? Jungkook's realization that his golden status was bought with his parents' silent longing for their son made this one of the most talked about events of the year. But even this level of raw emotion couldn't prepare the world for what was coming next. Are you ready for the secret that changed everything? The number 1 spot is a story so deep, so mysterious, and so heartbreakingly beautiful that it has redefined the legacy of Kim Tae-young forever. Number 1. V. The letter under the floorboards and the father's secret message. The absolute peak of emotional intensity in 2026 arrived during the winter solstice, a time that has always been significant for Kim Tae-young, but nothing could have prepared the world for the revelation that emerged from his family's old farmhouse in Daegu. We all know V's deep, a soulful connection to his father, the man he has frequently called his ultimate role model, and the hero he wants to become. But the secret message discovered in December 2026 changed the entire narrative of Taehyung's career. While helping his father renovate a small section of their ancestral home, Taehyung found a weather-beaten wooden box hidden beneath the floorboards of the room where he spent his earliest years. Inside was a collection of letters and a single sealed black envelope addressed, "To my son, the wind." The background of this message dates back to 2018, the year BTS famously considered disbanding due to extreme mental and physical exhaustion. While the world saw V's winter bear and his Gucci-clad exterior, his father had sensed his son's spirit breaking from miles away. The secret message, written in his father's rough, calloused handwriting, was a permission slip for failure. It read, "Taehyung, I see the world asking you to be a god, but I only ever asked you to be my son. If the crown becomes too heavy, drop it. If the stage feels like a cage, walk away. I have kept this house exactly as you left it. The same scent, the same silence, so that you always know there is a place where you don't have to be V. You are the only person who can decide when your spring arrives. Don't stay in the winter just because the world likes the aesthetic of your pain." The factual detail that sent the internet into a meltdown was the revelation that V's father had written this during the fake love era, a time when Taehyung was secretly struggling with the loss of his grandfather and the immense pressure of global fame. He had kept it hidden, intending to give it to Taehyung only if he actually decided to quit music. Finding it in 2026, after V had successfully navigated those dark waters and emerged as a global legend, was a spiritual reckoning. Taehyung's reaction was captured in a raw, black and white photograph shared later. Him sitting in the dirt of the renovation site, the letter pressed against his forehead, weeping with a sense of relief that seemed to transcend time. This 2026 moment was the ultimate reflection on the power of unconditional love, the kind of love that doesn't demand success but prepares a safety net for failure. The atmosphere of this discovery was transcendental, bridging the gap between the superstar and the farm boy from Daegu. It answered the question fans had asked for years. How did V stay so grounded despite the chaos? It was because he knew, deep in his bones, that his father's love was a sanctuary that didn't require a single Billboard hit to remain open. This secret message didn't just move Taehyung, it moved the world, reminding every one of us that our value isn't tied to our achievements, but to the people who would welcome us home even if we had nothing. As 2026 comes to a close, this remains the most defining family moment in the history of BTS, a testament to the man who taught V how to truly be Kim Taehyung.